Alive and alert on the north side of the dirt. It is your man, D-Real, coming at you with another Be Real with D-Real, where edutainment is what I do. I have had some things on my mind, some things I want to edutain about. One of the things I want to edutain about is the Wakandan challenge, wink, wink, for the throne. We've had a lot of different iterations of this. It's taken a lot of different shapes, and hopefully we can clarify what the challenge is, what the challenge ain't, and how we should be moving forward with it, because it seems to have taken a lot of different shapes over the years. But before we get all off into that, I need y'all to do what you always do for me. Comment, like, subscribe, and share the Be Real with D-Real page so that when new material comes out, you get it. If you're digging what a brother shoveling, put some dirt in my bucket. Comment, like, subscribe, and share this page. I might change that Wu-Tang comic to something a little more T'Challa-like. I thought y'all was into the 9 rings of the Wu-Tang, but if you ain't, because I know this ain't nobody notice it, you know what I'm saying? That's a classic from Image back in the day. But anyway, on to this Black Panther Wakandan challenge for the throne.
Let the challenge begin.
The Wakandan challenge has taken on a lot of different shapes, and even more so now that it's been immortalized cinematically. So we see this as the end, okay? It doesn't necessarily have to be taking place at a waterfall, and it doesn't necessarily, from what we have seen, for all intents and purposes, have to be taking place against, royalty against royalty, because that wasn't always the way it was. That was a nice move. I ain't gonna hate, but we got to go all the way back if we want to know how this challenge originally took place. We take you all the way back to Avengers number 87, where we are seeing on this page, yep, my man is still a little kid. He's with his childhood friend Batumba. I believe we haven't heard from Batumba in a while. And if we did, it wasn't that significant. Anyway, he said, I can't play with you no more. I got to go do man stuff. And Mbaza, whom you might call a witch doctor, showed up and said, okay, first thing you got to do before you become a man, young brother, you got to get some education about you. You're going to go study in the Americas, and you became an athlete. Look at you. And we can also take becoming a star athlete to mean that's also the point at which he was training in different kinds of martial arts. Yeah, to get a degree, he most definitely had to cram. And he returned to Wakanda on a prop plane. We just gonna contribute that to the late 60s, early 70s. And he returns. Yay! Guardian of the Sacred Mound. Not yet. I'm going to need you to defeat half a dozen of our finest warriors in hand-to-hand combat. And he handles them. Don't nobody else want no more. So, after that, we going to need you to take one more test tomorrow. It's the night of vigil in the temple of the Panther God. Only then shall you be cleansed and be worthy to begin the final test of kingship. Test of kingship. So, In this instance, kingship and being the Black Panther, at least at this point, go hand in hand. It still does, but it's like you need this to be king. There have been people who took the heart-shaped herb and didn't have the blessing of Baz, but I get ahead of myself. At that night, what do? I'm ready, Witch Doctor. Witch Doctor says, come on down here to the Panther Temple. Clink, 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 which we've seen in Fantastic Four and even in animated instances. And what happens? He goes inside, puts on the Black Panther habit, and that is the first time he rocked as the Black Panther. Black Panther has to be imbibed of the heart-shaped herb, and you've got to climb that mountain and go get it. And that is precisely what T'Challa does. And he arrives at his goal. But even as he had eaten the sacred herb, he overheard, it's just laying out there wild, where you can just grab it and eat it. You know what I'm saying? Like dandelions. But what does he hear? Oh no, it's the beekeepers known as advanced idea mechanics. Long story short, his challenge was, first of all, how in the hell did AIM get in Wakanda? You see what I mean? Okay, crappy security wasn't just a cinematic thing. Look here. And this was before there was Dora Milaje or Hatut Sarase. So Wakanda was just, you could just traipse on up in Wakanda. That had to be fixed. They found out about him. Time to fight. T'Challa's ready. He done took the heart-shaped herb, so I could take on advanced idea mechanics with relative ease. But then at one point, we decided
is watching the annual
the battle for the crown. Anybody could step up in this piece and say, hey, I want to be the Black Panther. So let's bring it, bruh. I want to see if you got what it takes to be the Black Panther, because I think I might have a little more than you do. You know, and people are wondering, at least in this Reginald Hudlin adapted animated joint, we're wondering where T'Challa is. But at this point in time, rather than them being throneless, you got young T'Shawn, who's going to get handled, as we know.
He certainly seems confident.
There is going to be a situation where he gets handled, and a lot of other people get handled too. This is also the point where, for the first time ever, we get to see Shuri. Well, we got a big fella coming up to challenge. Bottom line, I'm not saying to focus on the challenge itself or the person in the challenge, but the nature of the challenge. It went from just being T'Challa's challenge to being anybody's challenge. And that includes little sister. That's the first time we see Shuri.
I told you he would come through. No, I told you.
So now, here's what I'm thinking about.
Cousin,
Any tips for me?
you can't be.
It looks to be a precise science from everything we're seeing. So, number one, challenges for royalty, but anybody can challenge royalty. It is what it looks like. If we're just, are we mashing the iterations together? Because I only showed you two. There are a couple more that we could get off into, but it wouldn't change the face of what you have just been looking at. We know the challenge. It can't be for anybody but royalty, of course, because it's the throne. But anybody apparently can challenge to ascend to the throne. There have been different iterations where we saw this. You know what I'm saying? There have been different iterations where we've seen the heart-shaped herb be taken, as we did in Avengers 87. But there are also iterations of where the heart-shaped herb is applied to the skin. So we might be a little iffy about that. But from everything we've seen, it needs to be taken. Comic book versions have it being applied to the skin. There are animated versions of it being applied to the skin. And then there are also versions of it being taken internally. So depending on which animated and or printed version we take to be canon, I think the more popular one is internal. But the challenge is the same, yo. You want to be king, you want to remain king, you've got to face folks. Big giant guys, Jabari, foreign nationals, old relatives. You know, it's a challenge. You got to take on all comers. So that is the reason why T'Challa has to be a tip-top martial artist. There have been challenges. You telling me there ain't been challenges in the comics to his throne? We just saw that in the Hudlin run. That's probably not the only time someone challenged a Black Panther to the throne. We know Killmonger that challenged him a gang of times. So that is the challenge. It is for royalty. It is for the throne. But people other than royalty can challenge for the throne. As we saw, that big fella wasn't royalty. And I'm pretty sure those 12 fine warriors that he fought in Black Panther 87 were not royalty either. So it's pretty safe to say Wakandan citizen. That's the challenge, y'all. That's the challenge of the challenge. Edutainment is what I do. If there are any other questions, and I'm sure there always are, that you have about the challenge that I can research for you, or if this is a clear enough understanding given comic canon, because who decides what is canon and what isn't canon? The editors of the IP. Who's editing at the time? Whatever they say at the time, that is what the challenge is. But historically and canonically, other things have happened. That's it. That's the challenge, y'all. Fret not. I will be coming at you with another one of them other ones. And until I do, yep, y'all be good. Be good to each other.